So as long as we don't speak out of our own speculation, and as long as we just repeat the Shabda Brahma, then we're safe. Also, we must not have this attitude that I am the speaker. Of course, this attitude is very difficult to be rid of, but still, at least like in our hearts, at least some semblance, some of us must be there. Alright, I'm not speaking Harikatha, I'm just being a medium. I'm just being like a loudspeaker, just transmitting these words. So in that way, then, this false ego will not come. So in the morning, just to do a quick recap of what we were discussing in the morning, then maybe Maharaj can say what we were discussing in the morning. At least something to say. You? Okay. So in the morning, we heard that Parikshit, he told his mother Uttara that when Krishna was weeping in separation from the Vrajavasis, when he was weeping, all the Dwarkavasis were weeping. Uddhava was weeping, Baldev was weeping, Devaki was weeping, Satyabhama, Jambavati, Rukmini, everyone was weeping. So then Brahma, he told Garuda, that oh Garuda, you take Krishna and Baladev on his shoulders, and Vishwakarma has created this Vrindavan. Means he's created this place which looks exactly like Vrindavan, so place him there. And there at least his separation can be pacified. So then he said, alright. And then Garuda, he took Krishna and Baladev on his shoulders, and then he kept him there, in that place. So there, between the ocean and the Raivatak mountain, Vishwakarma had created a place called Vrindavan. So there, Krishna, with his elder brother Baladev, was brought there in that condition. So then, what happened? Krishna, as he slowly woke up, then Baladev, he started speaking to him. And at that time, Uddhava, he told all the queens that all of you hide yourselves. Don't show yourselves to Krishna. Because if you show yourselves to Krishna, then this mood will be broken. Then there will be rasabhas. What is rasabhas? Rasabhas means a semblance of rasa. Because the Dwarkavasis, although they have love and affection for Krishna, it is mixed with Aishwarya Bhav. And the love and affection that the Vrajavasis have is mixed with Madhurya. The very Swarup of this prem is Madhurya Mahi. And the Swarup of the prem that the Dwarkavasis have is Aishwarya Mahi. In this way, if Aishwarya and Madhurya, they cannot coexist with each other. Like the question arises, if Krishna was feeling so much separation from the Vrajavasis, he could have just called all the Vrajavasis to Dwarka. Then why did he make them stay here in Braj? He could have just brought all of them now. Just as he took all the Mathuravasis from Mathura, and then he built a place for them in Dwarka, and he could have done the same thing here also. Now, what is the harm? He could have done the same thing, but still no. Will the gopis ever stay in a place where Rukmini and Satyabhama are present? Never. No. There, Krishna, he has 10 sons and 1 daughter. So let's say Krishna is speaking to the gopis, and all of a sudden, one son comes and sits on his lap. And then he starts calling Krishna, oh Father, Father. Then what will the gopis think? No. What will they think? And let's say that Yashoda, she is with Krishna, and Devaki is also there. And sometimes Yashoda, she chastises Krishna. She twists his ear. Hey, you're speaking lies, and she twists his ear. And Devaki says, oh, he's my son, you don't know who he is, he's God himself, and you're twisting his ear. Has it ever been said in any Shastras that Parabrahma should be chastised, Bhagavan should be chastised, and you're chastising him? Then what will Yashoda think? No. Nanda Baba, he'll tell Krishna, bring my shoes, keep it on your head and bring it here. And Vasudeva, he'll tell Nanda, oh Nanda, you don't know who Krishna is. When we were in the prison, Krishna appeared in this 400 form with the Shankha Chakra Gada Padma, and you are telling that same personality to carry your shoes on his head. Is this proper? So what will the Vrajavasis think? No. Let's say Krishna and the Sakhas are fighting with each other. No. And the Sakhas, they push Krishna to the ground. And they start wrestling with him. No. And they start wrestling with him and they start shouting at him. No. They start abusing him, calling him many names. And what will the Pandavas think? What will Arjuna think? Arjuna chastises the Sakhas. He will tell the Sakhas in the Mahabharata war, Krishna showed me his universal form. He showed me his form as the Supreme Lord of all Lords, as Parameshwar, Parabrahma. And all his Sakhas are pushing him to the ground and wrestling with him. and giving him your own remnants. Arjuna will chastise the sakhas then. So therefore this is rasabhas, semblance of rasas. No? In this way there's a mixture of rasas and the outcome is not very palatable. It's very distasteful. There is not so much taste in the relishment of this rasa. No. So in this way, therefore Krishna, he didn't bring any of the Brajavasis down to Dwaraka. But on the other hand, he did bring them to one place. And what was that? He brought them to Kurukshetra. Because Kurukshetra is a place which is neutral. In Kurukshetra, there is neither much opulence or neither much madhurya. It's like a neutral place. Means there's half madhurya and half aishwarya, 50-50. So therefore he called all the Brajavasis there. And even there, when the Brajavasis came, and when Yashoda saw Krishna, Krishna immediately started running towards Yashoda and he sat on Yashoda's lap. And Yashoda covered Krishna's face and she started breastfeeding Krishna. Now here you must realize Krishna was more than 125 years old. So if he was 125 years old, then Yashoda was like 170 years old. Because Yashoda, she had Krishna as her son when she was very old, when she was in her 40s. That time she had Krishna as her son. So then, when Yashoda was like giving Krishna her milk, and when she was speaking very sweet words to him, then Devaki, she was present there. And Devaki was thinking, oh, if Yashoda continues speaking to Krishna, then Krishna might leave Dwaraka and go to Braj. So then Devaki, she came in between. And she started telling Yashoda, oh Yashoda, oh my dear Sakhi, I am so much indebted to you. Why? Because although Krishna is not your son, although he is my son, still you looked after him as though he was your own son. And not just for 1 or 2 days, but for 10 years you looked after him. As the pupil of your eyes. As your very life you looked after him. How can I ever thank you? I'm so grateful to you. So then when Rohini heard these words, when she heard Devaki speak these words to Yashoda, then Rohini was thinking, what is she saying? Devaki, huh? What is she trying to say? Here, Yashoda and Krishna have seen each other after so many years of separation, hundreds of years, and she's trying to like break this mood. Then immediately Rohini, she took Devaki away from there. She said, Devaki, let's go. Now there's no need for you to stay here anymore because so many guests are coming from all over the place, all over the world, so you have to welcome these guests. So let's go. And Rohini, she took Devaki away. And then as Yashoda was speaking to Krishna, all the gopis, they were waiting there outside. And they were looking at Krishna with unblinking eyes. They were just staring at him. Because who loves Krishna the most? The gopis. And even Mother Yashoda knows this. She knows this fact, that the gopis love him more than even I do. And Mother Yashoda, she's not selfish. When she saw the gopis standing at a distance, then she realized, oh, now they want to meet Krishna. So then she said, alright, I'm going, and then she left that place. Because in her eyes, Krishna is just a small boy, and the gopis are just small girls. No? So small girls and boys, when they meet each other, what is the harm? No. Like a small girl and a small boy are holding each other's hands, then is there any harm in there? Any harm? There's no harm. No. And they're holding each other's hands, talking each other, even if they're embracing each other, what harm is there? They're just kids. They're just children. No. Children, they're most pure-hearted. They don't have any scent of lust inside them. So Yashoda, she thinks of Krishna and the gopis in this way. She thinks Krishna and the gopis are children. So they just, maybe they embrace each other, kiss each other, what's the harm? So then she saw these gopis and then she said, alright. And then she went away. And then the gopis, they came to meet Krishna there. And then Radharani, she looked at Krishna and she said, no, Anya Hridayaman, Morman Vrindavan. She said, for others, their mind and hearts are different. But for me, my mind and heart is the same. And my mind and heart, they're not different from Vrindavan. So if you really want to make me happy, then kindly place your lotus feet in the land of Braj. Then I will be happy. So what is so special about Braj Mandal? What is so special? Once Gurudev, he asked the devotees, what is so special about Braj? Why does Krishna like Braj so much? Then the devotees, they gave many answers. Oh, this and that, because Vrinda Devi, she's making all arrangements here in Braj. Because Braj is like the Kunja of Radharani, this, that. Then Gurudev, he said, the reason Braj Mandal is so special is because anywhere Krishna looks, he's only reminded of Srimati Radhika. Even a dust particle of Braj only reminds him of Srimati Radhika. This is the reason. There's so much Uddipan for him here. You know, like here in Vrindavan. You see, right here is Seva Kunj, Nidhuvan, Shringarvar, Keshigar, Dhira Samir, Imlitala. All these places are Rasasthalis. Rasasthalis means in these very places, Radha, Krishna and all the gopis, they engage in Raslila. So anywhere he goes in Braj, he's only reminded of Radharani and the gopis. So therefore he doesn't want to take one step out of Braj. And Radharani, she's calling Krishna to Braj not for her own sake. Because what is Prem? Prem means you have everything to give and nothing to take. This is love. No. You have everything to give. You're ready to give your own self. But on the other hand, you don't expect anything from your beloved, from your lover. Nothing of that sort. So Radharani, she just wants to take Krishna from Dwaraka to Vrindavan because she knows that Krishna is not happy here. No, she knows. She knows that Krishna is a prisoner here. He's held captive by the Dwarakavasis. She knows this for a fact. So therefore she wants to take Krishna away from there. No, from Kurukshetra and Dwaraka. She wants to take him to Vrindavan. And this is the meaning of this Rath Yatra pastime. Now, what is the meaning of this? When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is singing all these kirtans in front of Jagannath's chariot, and when he's taking him from the Jagannath temple to Gundicha, what is Mahaprabhu's mood? Mahaprabhu is completely absorbed in the mood of Srimati Radhika. Just as Radharani took Krishna away from Kurukshetra to Vrindavan, similarly, Mahaprabhu is taking Jagannath from the Sri Mandir, which is like Neelachal, and he's taking him to Sundarachal, Gundicha, which is non-different from Vrindavan. This is the mood there. So considering all these reasons, Krishna, he did not call any Brajavasis to Dwaraka. And even if Krishna would have called them, would any Brajavasi ever gone to Dwaraka? Would he have ever gone there? Never. Even a blade of grass will not go to Dwaraka. What to speak of a Brajavasi? Even a particle of dust will not go to Dwaraka. No. Even a cow or a calf will not go to Dwaraka. No. In fact, Raghunath Das Goswami, in one prayer, in one Staustuti, he has said, even if Krishna calls me to Dwaraka, even if he sends me a letter, or even if he gives me a personal invitation, I will not go. But on the other hand, if I know that my Radharani has gone to Dwaraka, then I will fly faster than even Garuda, and I will go to Dwaraka. Means I will jump to Dwaraka from Vrindavan, from Radhakund. He said, I will not stay in Radhakund any longer if my Swamini, Radharani is present there. No. Because Radharani, she is called Brajeshwari, Vrindavaneshwari. She is the goddess of Vrindavan. She maintains everyone's lives in Vrindavan. This Adi Ras, Shringar Ras has come from Radharani. Radharani herself has become Mother Yashoda in one way to serve Krishna. Because Mother Yashoda has his Vatsalya Bhav, and Vatsalya Bhav has its origin in whom? In Radharani herself. Because what is the quality of Vatsalya Bhav? The quality of Vatsalya Bhav is to nourish Krishna, is to look after Krishna, is to feed him. And where is this quality coming from? It's ultimately coming from Srimati Radhika herself. And Mother Yashoda has imbibed this mood from Srimati Radharani. And this way she's serving Krishna. So these are one of the many reasons that Krishna doesn't call the gopis. No, like let's say Krishna is engaged with the Raslila, with the gopis on the banks of the ocean. And what will the Dwarkavasis think? If they see Krishna dancing with the gopis there on the banks of the ocean, they will say, just see this Krishna, he's Dwarkadish, he's Dwarakesh, he's the king of Dwaraka, and he's dancing with these simple village girls. These village girls are not even educated. No. Just understood. Village women, villagers are not even as educated. And he's dancing with them. They will even criticize Krishna then. And they will criticize the Brajavasis, the gopis. So how can he call the Brajavasis there? So therefore, Brahma realized that we'll have to create something which will remind Krishna of the Brajavasis. And therefore he had this place built, Navavrindavan. And here in the morning we were just discussing that Krishna, as he gradually woke up, as he opened his eyes, then the first person he saw was Mother Yashoda. And then he fell at the feet of Mother Yashoda. And he said, oh Mother, last night I had a terrible dream. In that dream, I had left Vrindavan and I went to Mathura. I went to Dwaraka. There I married so many queens. There I had to kill so many demons. So therefore, because I had this terrible dream, I was sleeping whole night and in the morning also I couldn't wake up. So mother, kindly forgive me. And I've woken up so late. Because Mother Yashoda wasn't speaking to him. So he was thinking, Mother Yashoda is angry with me. So then, Mother Yashoda had some butter in her hands. So then Krishna snatched that butter from her hands. He snatched it. But then, he didn't eat that butter. Why? Because he wanted to give that butter to Baldev. Because Krishna, whatever he'd have in his hands, he'd give half to Baldev and the other half he would eat. But then, realizing that Mother Yashoda is not speaking, he was saying, Mother, why are you not talking to me? Are you still angry at me? I'm telling you that the only reason I couldn't wake up was because of this horrible dream I had last night. And still you don't want to speak to me. Then Rohini, she realized, oh, Krishna, he might realize that this is not actually Mother Yashoda, but this is the deity of Mother Yashoda. Then immediately Rohini, she came there and she told Krishna, Krishna, Mother Yashoda is very sick because whole night she was worried about you. That why isn't my son waking up? He's just sleeping and sleeping. So now don't disturb your mother. I'll cook for you and I'll send whatever you want to the forest. Now go there. So then Krishna started running. And then as he was looking towards the side, he saw the deity of Srimati Radhika there on the side. Because whenever Krishna goes cowherding, you will see that the gopis, they don't meet him directly. No, they see him from the side. Because the gopis are very shy. How can they see Krishna and come in front of him when all the elderly Brajavasis are present there? No. Because this is Vedic culture. In Vedic culture, a wife cannot freely meet her husband in front of her in-laws or in front of others. No, this is not proper. No, this is not the custom. So the gopis are all standing on the side. No. So then as Krishna was looking around for Radharani, then he saw her standing there. Then he went towards Radharani and he said, oh Radharani, oh Radhe. Then he again spoke about that dream he had last night. And he said, are you angry at me because I did not meet you? Kindly forgive me. So then Baladev, he was seeing all these things. Because Baladev, even he knows of these exchanges that Krishna has with the gopis. So therefore, when Krishna is with the gopis, Baladev, he's never there nearby. He's always far away from there. No. During the Rath Yatra, when Mahaprabhu would be absorbed in Srimati Radhika's bhav, Nityananda Prabhu would not even touch him. He would always maintain distance from him. Because Nityananda Prabhu, who is he? He is Balaram. Balaram Hoilo Se Nitai. So he was thinking, if I touch Mahaprabhu when he's in Radha Bhav, Mahaprabhu might be disturbed. So Nityananda Prabhu, he always maintains some distance from Mahaprabhu. So similarly here also, when Krishna was speaking with Radharani, Baladev, he was standing at a distance and he was not disturbing him in any way. And then, after Krishna, he left that place, then he went cowherding with all the cows and his friends. So there, Krishna, when he was with all the cows, then he looked at the ocean. Then he saw all the waves in the ocean. Then he looked at Baladev and he said, brother, what is this? I thought we were in Vrindavan. And actually, I thought this was the Yamuna. But this is not the Yamuna, this is the salty ocean. So then Baladev, he told Krishna, oh Krishna, we arranged all this just so you could be pacified a little. Because you had been weeping for so many days. For so many days, you had only been weeping and weeping in separation from Brajavasis. So much so that this entire bed had become wet of yours. All your clothes had become wet. So only to relieve you of this separation, we managed this entire pastime. And then Krishna, he was pacified a little. So then we, in the morning, we were just thinking that how, when Rukmini and all the queens saw Krishna dressed as Brajendra Nandan Shyamsundar, even they lost their composure. They fell on the ground unconscious. Because whenever they saw Krishna, they saw him as a king with his golden crown. He's dressed as a Kshatriya, he has jewels all over. But now when Krishna was in Vrindavan, he was not dressed like a king. He was dressed like a simple cowherd boy. He had these gunja berries on his ears, his gunja earrings. He had this peacock feather on his head. He had this flute. He was playing on his flute. And on the right side, he had this bugle, this buffalo bugle, this horn, this shinai. He had this on here. And on the left, he had this lakuti, this cowherding stick that he uses to herd the cows. So then when the queen saw him this way, then they were like completely mesmerized by his beauty. So then Rukmini, she started glorifying the gopis. She's saying, how can we even be envious of these gopis? Because these gopis are so fortunate. Because their love for Krishna is completely causeless. There is no cause whatsoever. But our love for him has a cause. We loved Krishna because there was some underlying reason. But the gopis loved Krishna only for the sake of loving him, not for any other purpose. And even though there were so many reasons for this prem to break, still that prem never broke. What is the definition of prem? Sarvata dvansa rahitam yadyapi dvansa karane yad bhava bandhana yuno saprema parikirtita. Rupa Goswami has given this definition in Ujjal Leelamani. Means Sarvata dvansa rahitam yadyapi dvansa karane. Means although there is every reason for this prem to break, still this prem will not break. It will flourish even more and more. No. Like when the gopis meet with Krishna, there are three factors which decide their meeting. One is what? One is called Durlabhata. The gopis cannot freely meet with Krishna. So therefore the meeting is very Durlabh. Means very rare. Sometimes in the middle of the night, sometimes in the middle of the day, early morning. But still, although it is so rare for them to meet each other, still you see, their love is flourishing more and more. And another characteristic of this Madhurya Bhav is called Nivaranata. Nivaranata means social inhibition. The gopis are always shy. They're thinking, what will our elders say if we meet with Krishna? What will society say? So therefore, their meeting sometimes becomes very constricted. Means it becomes stunted. Like we see when Radharani wants to meet Krishna, her mother-in-law Jadila and her sister-in-law Kutila, they're always trying to stop her from meeting Krishna. This is called Nivaranata. But in spite of that, in spite of Radharani not being able to meet Krishna, still you see, when she meets Krishna, this prem blossoms even more and more. This is called Nivaranata. And the other characteristic of this prem is called Prachanna Kamukta. Means concealed calm. No. You see, the lust in this world is very open. No. Like you see, the atmosphere in this world is so sexually surcharged. It's so sexually surcharged. No? You can see for your own self. Like we go on the internet, you see, there's so much like the negative energy there. And if you're not careful, the negative energy can also influence you. There's no denying this fact. Like just say you go on YouTube. You go on YouTube, you see that. It's so sexually surcharged. They just like want you to go in that direction. No, society wants you to go in that direction. The nation wants you to go in that direction. No, there's no denying this. And we can be victimized also if we are not careful. No. This is the nature of this world. But that same calm, here what is the definition of this calm? Atmendriya Priti Vancha Tare Boli Kam. Krishnendriya Priti Vancha Dhare Prem Nam. Here you see lust means what? It means you want to satisfy your own senses. And a person wanting to satisfy his own senses, he may even do many bad things, crazy things. But that same tendency, that same propensity, if it is used, if it is directed towards the satisfaction of Krishna's senses, then Krishnendriya Priti Vancha Dhare Prem Nam. Then the satisfaction of Krishna's senses is called Prem. So this is called Prachanna Kamukta. Such Prem is not openly expressed by the gopis. Gopi means what? Gopi means Gopanta. Means they're hiding this Prem within the innermost core of their hearts. They will not let anyone even have a slight scent of this Prem. No, they will make sure no one realizes that they're loving Krishna. No. They will make sure. Like sometimes, like Shama Sakhi, she comes to meet Radharani. And she tells Radharani, oh Radhe, can you describe your meeting with Krishna last night? I want to listen to this. Then Radharani, she tells Shama, oh, what can I tell? What can I say? As soon as I saw Krishna, I fell unconscious on the ground. And the whole night I was just laying unconscious on the ground. So how can I describe my meeting to you? No, this is love. This is prem. Radharani will not describe. Even Rupa Manjari, the maid servant to Srimati Radhika, she will not say anything. But when Rupa Manjari appears as Rupa Goswami, then Rupa Goswami will describe everything in his books. Like Ujjal Nilamani, Hansuduta, Dalit Madhav, Vedanta Madhav. No. So this is prem. No. Therefore Gurudev would say that if you are having any realizations in your sadhana and bhajan, then don't speak of those realizations to others. No. Like sometimes devotees, they would come and tell Gurudev, oh, last night I had a dream, I saw Krishna. I saw Radharani in that dream. I saw the Raslila. I saw Radha and Krishna dancing, kissing each other. Gurudev would say, all right, very good. He'd say, you have this dream. But if you have this dream, then why are you saying it out loud? Keep that realization within yourself. No, that example is given if you keep camphor, this karpur, in the open, then the scent of the camphor, fragrance will be lost. And camphor will become useless. So what should you do? You should put that camphor in a bottle and cover that bottle with a lid or with a cork. And then the fragrance of the camphor will be preserved. Similarly, whatever realizations you have, if you speak of those realizations to others, and if you openly distribute them in the marketplace, then you lose those realizations. You lose all of them. Who should you speak those realizations to? Sajatiya Snigdha means those are Sajatiya, who are of that same mood, who are Snigdha, who are loving and affectionate to you, and are more advanced than you. You reveal your heart to them. Then those realizations will help you progress in bhakti. Or else you lose those realizations. No. You don't go around saying, oh, I'm chanting 2 lakh Harinam. I'm chanting 128 rounds. Or I'm chanting 192 rounds. No, you don't go around saying that. No. Like sometimes even like once I remember one Mataji, like she asked Prabhuji, oh, how many rounds do you chant? She asked. I want to know how many rounds you chant. And I also want to chant the same number of rounds. And Prabhuji said, I don't chant even one single round, he said. He said, what is my Harinam? I'm only calling out the names of the devotees. No, all these brahmacharis, I'm only calling out to them by their names. Like Govind, Damodar. That time we had one brahmachari called Damodar. Or like this Madhav, Haridas. I'm only calling out them by their names. And this is my chanting. This is my Nam Sankhya. Calling out the names of the brahmacharis. No, this is how the Vaishnavas are. No? They conceal all their things. They don't give it out openly. No. Like sometimes when Prabhuji was in Jagannath Puri, I remember 3 different people came to meet him. And the first person asked him, now what is your next plan? Where are you going to go? Prabhuji said, I'm going to Vrindavan. And then another person came and asked him. He said, where are you going to go? He said, I'm going to Navadvip. I was there. And third person came and asked him, where are you going to go? He said, I'm going to stay in Jagannath Puri. He said, how can you know the heart of a devotee? No, it's very difficult. Even devatas, even they cannot estimate. Even they cannot understand the heart of a devotee. No. Shuddha Bhakti, very difficult. So therefore, keep those realizations within yourself. And only on to those who are very much affectionate to you and more advanced than you will reveal those realizations. And they will help you also progress in that way. So this is the nature of the gopis. This Gopanta, they conceal that prem that they have for Krishna. No. So this is the reason that if the gopis were to meet any queens of Krishna and Dwaraka, then there would be so much rasabhas. And we'll see here, when Rukmini was glorifying all the gopis, then Satyabhama, she was not present there. So then Krishna, he asked Uddhava, where is the daughter of Satyajit? Why is she not here? And Krishna was very angry. He said, where is this foolish daughter of Satyajit? Krishna even called her foolish. Because the father of Satyabhama, Satyajit, once he had blamed Krishna for stealing the Shamatak jewel. So Krishna said, he unnecessarily blamed me. And just as the father is foolish, the daughter is also foolish. So Krishna was very angry now, he was trembling with rage. So then Satyabhama, she came then, very meekly, very politely she came there and she fell at the feet of Krishna. And she begged for forgiveness. Then Krishna, he said here, he told the queens, he said, I swear on all of you, he said. This is the exact translation. He said, I swear that if the Vrajavasis and the Rajagopis were not happy with all of you, then I would have forsaken you in less than a moment. If my father, if my parents, if the gopis would have desired that I should renounce all of you, then I would have renounced all of you in less than a second. It is only for their sake that I am staying with you, the gopis. Why? Because Krishna is saying, if I am going to stay in Braj directly, then if I am there directly in their presence, the gopis, they feel so much separation. Why? This is called Bhavi Viraha. Bhavi Viraha means the separation that they feel might happen in the future. No, like the gopis are with Krishna and then the gopis are always thinking, oh, the next day he's going to go cow herding. He's going to go to the different forests of Braj. And if he's going to go there, then we will be separated from him. And our gopis again fall unconscious. So even when they're directly meeting with Krishna, they cannot enjoy that meeting completely. No, even when Radharani is with Krishna, she's thinking, oh, Jatila and Kutila might come anytime soon. Then they might catch us together. Or in the morning, Krishna, he has to go to Mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba. Because Krishna, if he doesn't go back home quickly, then Nanda will not even eat anything. Nanda Baba, his father, he has not even touched a single grain of rice. Because he is waiting for Krishna. When will my son come? Because once my son comes and sits on my lap, then I will feed my son with my own hands. No. Krishna will sit on one side of my lap, Baladev will sit on one side of my lap. and I will feed them with my own hands. So Nanda is waiting for them in the house. So Krishna, how can he neglect his father? So sometimes he tells the gopis, I cannot stay with you any longer. I'll have to go back to Nanda Bhavan. My father is waiting. My uncles are waiting. Upananda, Sunanda, my sakas are waiting. No, so he has to run back quickly. No. So this way, Krishna is telling these queens that if I would have stayed there with the gopis, then the gopis are always thinking they will be separated from me. Therefore, I left Vrindavan and I am here in Dwaraka. He said. Why? Because when I am not there, then in separation they have this spurti. Spurti means what? Spurti means a momentary vision. This is called spurti. Means an internal revelation. Means Krishna reveals himself to the gopis in their hearts. Like when Radharani looks at the clouds, then the black luster of these clouds, they remind her of Krishna. And Krishna, he appears to her as a spurti. When she sees this tamal tree, which is blackish like Krishna, then she embraces the tamal tree. Why? Because she has a spurti of Krishna within this tamal tree. She sees Krishna within this tamal tree. This is called spurti. And sometimes Krishna himself also appears directly in the presence of the gopis and he pacifies them. Like sometimes when the gopis are weeping so much in separation from Krishna, then Krishna takes his uttariya and he wipes the tears off the gopis' faces. When the tears are falling from their eyes, he personally appears and he wipes them away in this way. He wipes them away and he speaks very sweet words to them. So in this way, all the Krishnas in Mathura and Dwarka, still he appears time to time and he pacifies the gopis. And then he's telling his queens, it is for this reason that I'm staying here in Dwaraka. It is for this reason that I'm imprisoned here. Otherwise, why would I want to stay here? No. It is said that a person, he will stay in that place where he's loved the most. So if Krishna is loved the most by the Vrajavasis, then why did he leave Vrindavan? No. And actually here there's a secret. Krishna never actually left Vrindavan. When Akrura took Krishna and Baladev away from Vrindavan, and when he came to Brahmahrit, there, when Krishna and Baladev were sitting on the chariot, and when Akrura went to bathe in the Yamuna, there he saw, as he took a dip inside the Yamuna, he saw Krishna and Baladev inside the Yamuna. And he's saying, what is this? Krishna and Balaram, they're sitting on the chariot, and I'm also seeing them sitting inside the Yamuna. And he looked close, and he looked behind, he saw them also sitting on the chariot. So what is the meaning? The meaning is that in one form, Krishna and Balaram, they went with Akrura to Mathura. But in another form, Krishna and Balaram, they returned back to Braj. They did not leave Braj. This is one example. And another example given is that when Nanda Baba was waiting for Krishna and Balaram outside the palace of Vasudev, when he was sitting on his bullock cart, there it is said that Krishna and Baladev, they came to Nanda Baba, and in one prakost, means in one section of these leelas, Nanda Baba, he took Krishna and Baladev back to Braj. And in another section, in another prakost, Nanda, he returned back empty-handed. Means he didn't take Krishna and Baladev, they stayed there. So whoever stayed in Mathura was actually Vasudev Nandan Krishna and Devaki Nandan Balram. But Yashoda Nandan Krishna and Rohini Nandan Baladev, they always stayed in Vrindavan, they never left. So Krishna is telling the queens that this is the reason that I am staying here. Because in my separation they get some pacification. They feel some happiness in my separation. No, in this way. Like we see even when Sachidevi was separated from Mahaprabhu, when Mahaprabhu took sannyas and went to Jagannath Puri, Sachidevi would have immediately given up her life. Vishnupriya Devi would have immediately given up her life. But then how did they remain alive for so many years? Even after Mahaprabhu had taken sannyas and left and stayed in Jagannath Puri for like 18 years, how did they remain alive? Why? Because Mahaprabhu as a spurti, he would appear there. And sometimes Mahaprabhu himself would appear there and pacify Sachidevi. No, like sometimes Sachidevi, she would cook something. And Mahaprabhu himself would appear there and he would eat everything that Sachidevi had cooked. No. Like Sachidevi would offer bhoga and then she would close her eyes. And when she would open her eyes, the entire plate would be empty. Then Sachidevi would be thinking, what is this? I cooked just now, and just now I'm seeing the plate is empty. Maybe some creature, some animal has eaten everything. Or maybe I have not even cooked in the first place. And again she cooks. And again she offers. And again Mahaprabhu comes and eats everything. So then Mahaprabhu, he knew that Mother Sachi, she had this doubt in her heart. That am I really eating this offering or not? So then he sent Damodar Pandit. He told Damodar Pandit that you go to Navdeep and you tell my mother that every day when she's cooking, and when she's offering this bhoga to me, I'm personally appearing there and I'm eating everything that she's cooking and offering. You tell my mother this. And then Mahaprabhu, he pacified his mother in this way. So this way Krishna is telling these queens that why do I love all of you? It is for one reason. And what is that one reason? Here he is speaking that reason. He's saying, Oh Satyabhama, know that while separated from the gopis, I was staying in Mathura. While there, I had no desire whatsoever to marry. So Krishna, his first queen was Rukmini. So he's saying, I had no desire to even marry Rukmini. I had no desire whatsoever. But Rukmini Devi, she wrote me a letter. Because Rukmini, she was supposed to get married to who? Shishupala. So Rukmini had wrote a letter to me. She said, if you don't accept my hand in marriage, then I will give up my life. She wrote this letter to Krishna, I will give up my life. I will not accept Shishupala as my husband. I have already accepted you as my husband. So then, after hearing the news from this Brahmin who brought this letter, I smashed the false pride of those wicked kings. And then I accepted Rukmini's hand in marriage. So Krishna, why did he accept Rukmini? Because one purpose of Krishna's advent in this material world is to subdue the demons. Paritranaya sadhana vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. He appears age after age to subdue the demons. So this is one reason I accepted Rukmini's hand in marriage. And another reason, because she's saying that I'll commit suicide, I'll give up my life. It is for this reason that I married her. Nevertheless, by directly seeing Rukmini, my remembrance of the gopis increased even more. And by that recollection, filled with great sorrow and pain, I became exceedingly agitated. So Krishna is saying, even when I look at Rukmini, I'm only reminded of the gopis. Now who does Rukmini remind Krishna of? She reminds him of Chandradhar. Satyabhama reminds him of Srimati Radhika. I notice that all of you who are eager to obtain me and who perform the Katyayani Vrat, similar to those 16,100 covered girls. So Krishna is saying, why did I marry 16,000 queens? Because these 16,000 queens, they remind me of those gopis who perform the Katyayani Vrat. Because the gopis also desired to have me as their husband. And they were praying to Yogamaya. Similarly, all of you also desired to have me as your husband. And therefore I accepted your hand in marriage. Why? Because all of you reminded me of those gopis who were performing this Katyayani Vrat. He's saying that. So therefore, you should know that all those divine pleasures and glories of mine have forsaken me, left behind in Braj. That place alone being actually fit for those pleasures and glories. So Krishna is saying that actually here I'm miserable. In Dwaraka I'm very miserable, he's saying. Know that I'm not happy here in the least. Know that whatever happiness I relished, I enjoyed, all that happiness has been left behind in Vrindavan. Here I'm completely miserable, he's saying. So I could not tell whether it was day or night while immersed in the waves of that blissful ocean of charming variegated pastimes with the Vrajavasis. So Krishna is saying, when I was with the Vrajavasis, I didn't even know it was day or night. For 10 years I was there, and those 10 years seemed like 10 seconds for me. No. Like prem has two symptoms. One is called Kalpa Kshanatva, and the other is called Kshana Kalpatva. So here, Kalpa Kshanatva means what? When the gopis are meeting with Krishna, one kalpa means 1 millennium, means billions of years. Even billions of years seems like a moment when the gopis meet with Krishna. No? Like when the gopis perform this Raslila with Krishna, the entire night became as long as the entire night of Brahma himself. No? But still the entire night of Brahma seemed like one moment. So this is called Kalpa Kshanatva. Means an entire millennium, means thousands of billions of years become like one moment during that meeting with Krishna. And the other is called Kshana Kalpatva. So Kshana Kalpatva means what? Means one moment, one kshan, one moment of separation between Krishna and the gopis is like one kalpa. It's like 1 millennium. No? When Krishna is separated from the gopis, then Radharani is thinking that how can I tolerate even one moment of separation? What is one moment? One moment doesn't mean 1 second. It means one fraction of a second. 1 nimish. 1 nimish means what? 1 nimish is the time taken for the blinking of your eyes. Like when you blink your eyes, it's not even 1 second, it's like a fraction of a second. 1 nimish means 1/16th of a second. That is 1 nimish. So the blinking of your eyes just takes 1/16th of a second. So that 1/16th of a second in separation from Krishna is like 1 millennium for the gopis and for Srimati Radhika. This is therefore when Mahaprabhu, when he recited the Sikshastakam, what did he say? He said, Yugaita nimishena chakshusha pravarshaitam shunyaitam jagat sarvam govinda virahename. In the mood of Srimati Radhika, Mahaprabhu is saying that in separation from Govinda, this 1 nimishkal means this 1/16th of a second, fraction of a second is like 1 yuga for me. He's saying 1 yuga. So here, therefore, Krishna is telling the queens that in their association I could not even realize when it was day, when it was night. No. So we are also getting some of this. No. Like we've been here in the Dham for so many years, in the association of Hari Guru, Vaishnavas and the devotees. See, when we've been here, like for some years at least, even we feel that we've like, no, even for us, you see, so many years have passed so quickly. No, some of us have been here 5 years, 2 years, 3 years, 8 years, 10 years, 12 years, whatsoever. No? And it seems that like those so many years have just passed like one day. No? Is it not? How many years you've been in the temple now? Yeah? 7 years. You feel like it's been 7 years now. Eh? Very quickly they pass. See? 7 years. How many years you've been? See, 7 years also. 7 years they pass like what? Like 7 days. No. See? That means what? Means you're actually enjoying yourself in the association of the devotees. No. Only when you're happy, time passes quickly. If you're miserable, time does not pass quickly. No. I remember when I went to university, it was so miserable for me because 3 years seemed like 300 years. 3 years of university. Horrible it was. One day in university seemed like 100 years. So miserable I was. And here we see how time is passing quickly. Why? Because we're happy. When you're happy, it's like that. So similarly here also Krishna is saying, in their association, I'm completely absorbed in that happiness, drowning in that ocean of happiness. So he's saying, I killed many big demons in Braj, in playful childhood pastimes. I sent Kalia far away. I also lifted Giriraj by my left hand. So while immersed in such an ocean of ecstasy in Braj, though Brahma and other demigods offered prayers, I neglected all duties to the demigods, considering even their sight and conversation with them disturbing. So Krishna is saying that when I was engaged in all these leelas with the Vrajavasis, then the demigods, they would appear time to time. And they would tell me, they would say, oh Prabhu, like Brahma, he would appear with folded hands. He'd say, Prabhu, what is your purpose? Your purpose is to relieve this world of this burden. No. And you're only engaged in these leelas with the Vrajavasis. So when Krishna would listen to these appeals of the devatas, then he would say, oh, why is this Brahma disturbing me unnecessarily? Why is he disturbing me? Krishnamurti. What to speak of the Vrajavasis? I captivated the entire creation of moving and non-moving living entities at that time with prem by my extraordinary beauty and nectarian sound of the flute. So Krishna is saying, when I was playing on my flute, the entire universe was charmed by me. Not just the Vrajavasis, the entire universe was charmed. Even now you see, it's been more than 5,000 years since Krishna wound up his leelas, and even now you see so many people are talking about his leelas of Vrindavan. Now, how many people remember Krishna's leelas in Dwaraka or in Mathura? They only remember Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, like stealing butter, dancing with the gopis, playing this, that. Even now you see, people are always speaking of these pastimes. So he's saying that was my nature in Braj. In Braj I was always most beautiful, most attractive. Why? Because I was most happy. Now when does a person exhibit his beauty? He exhibits his beauty when he's pleased, when he's happy. When a person is happy in his life, naturally he'll have a complexion, good complexion. He'll be very effulgent. But if he's miserable, then he'll never be beautiful. He'll be very ugly. So why is Krishna saying, why was I so beautiful in Braj, in my appearance? Because I was very happy there. So, saying Brahma, Rudra, Indra, Chandra and all the demigods, the Siddhas and others situated in the plains, as well as cows, bulls, calves, deer, all the trees, birds, grass, creepers, rivers, everyone were filled up with praying and ecstatic transformations. and they began performing activities contrary to their respective natures. So Krishna is saying, even the mountains, they melted in ecstasy upon listening to the sound of my flute. Even trees, which are non-moving living entities, they started like giving so much honey. Honey started oozing from the branches of the trees. And even rivers, they stopped moving. Means, normally a river is always flowing in one direction. But then what happened? The flow of the river stopped and whirlpools were created in the river. No, like the Yamuna, what happened? Whirlpools were created, and then Yamuna, she started offering flowers at the lotus feet of Krishna by her waves. Her waves were like hands that had become stationary, and by these waves, by her hands, she offered these flowers at the feet of Krishna. So here Krishna is saying, this is the nature of this prem in Braj. That moving living entities, they become non-moving. They become stunned in ecstasy. And those living entities which are non-moving, they become moving. In this way. So please ask this Kalindi whether all this is true or not. Because this very Kalindi is the witness of my spontaneous pastimes with the Brajavasis. She has seen everything directly. So who is Kalindi? She is one of the queens of Krishna. And who is she? She is Yamuna Devi herself. Means she is Vishaka herself, Kalindi. No, because Yamuna is a manifestation of Vishaka. So Krishna is saying, Kalindi, she has personally witnessed all my leelas in Braj. She has seen how I used to play with the gopis in her waters. Why is the water of the Yamuna black? Why? Why is it dark? Because the Yamuna always washes the body of Krishna. And the body of Krishna has many like fragrant colored substances which are smeared all over his body. His unguents. And therefore, because she is always washing Krishna's body, his angarak means these fragrant powder which is being smeared on his body, that is washed away by the water of the Yamuna. And therefore her water has become black. Also it is said that because the gopis, they are always like weeping in separation from Krishna, then the tears of their eyes mix with their kajal. Because the gopis, they put this kajal, this eyeliner, or this mascara around their eyes. So because they are always weeping, the tears of their eyes mixes with this kajal and falls inside the Yamuna. And therefore the water of the Yamuna has become black. And also, Yamuna is always carrying Krishna in her heart. And because Krishna is dark, she has also become dark. Why? Tadatma. This is called Tadatma. Means one becomes so absorbed in thinking about his beloved that he becomes one with him. Means in qualities. So because Yamuna is always thinking about Krishna, she has become black. Like we see sometimes in Vrindavan, if you look in Vrindavan, all the deities of Balaram, they are black. They are not golden. Balaram is actually like golden complexion. But if you see any deity of Balaram, he is black. He's not golden. Why? Because he's always thinking about Krishna in separation. And when he's thinking about him in separation, his complexion changes. And he becomes like Krishna. Like if you go to the Tota Gopinath temple in Jagannath Puri, that is the only place where Radharani's deity is black. That is the only place. Radha and Lalita, they are by the side of Krishna. And their complexion has also become black there. Because they are thinking so much about Krishna that they lose their golden complexion. They become black. Similarly, Yamuna also, because she is always thinking about Krishna, she loses her own complexion and she becomes black like him. So here he's saying. So Krishna is telling, you ask this queen Kalindi, she's seen everything. She has witnessed all these leelas. She's had direct audience, Pratyaksha Darshan, by her own eyes she has seen. Nevertheless, I cannot obtain that ecstasy at this time, despite engaging in playful sports and pastimes with the Yadavas, who are my relatives. So Krishna is saying, no, I'm not happy here in any way. Although I'm also playing with the Yadavas, I have many children, all of you are my wives. I have my father, Vasudeva, my mother, Devaki, my cousins, all of them. Still, I'm not happy here. Oh Satyabhama, you became so full of sulky pride that it became difficult for me even to break the jealous anger of queens like yourself. So at this time and place, I shamefully abandoned my dear flute. So Krishna is saying, because you always went into Man, thinking about the Rajagopis, I even left my flute, he's saying. Because whenever you look at this flute, you go into Man. Because this flute reminds you of the Rajadevis, the Gopis, it reminds you of Vrindavan. So I kept this flute aside also. Alas, this is a matter of great distress. Or to speak of enacting the pastimes I performed in Braj, I am even unable to describe them. So Krishna is saying, since the day I have left my flute, I am only suffering more and more, he is saying. What to speak of enacting these leelas of Braj? He's saying, I cannot even describe them, he's saying. Because in Vrindavan, the queens, they saw Krishna taking the cows out to graze. So that was the first time they saw Krishna enacting his leelas of Vrindavan. So Krishna is saying, I cannot enact these leelas. What to speak of even describing them? Only Sukadev, who is as dear to me as the Vrajavasis, because he has prem like them, he can describe a little of those pastimes. And he did so to his beloved disciple Pariksha. So Krishna is saying that Sukadeva Goswami, he can speak some of these pastimes, not me. Why? Because Sukadeva Goswami is the parrot of Srimati Radhika. No. Srimati Radhika, she would keep this parrot on her hand and she would personally feed pomegranate seeds to this parrot. No. Personally she would feed these seeds. And she would tell this parrot, oh, chant the names, Govinda, Damodar, Madhaviti. Chant these names, chant these names. Once the parrot flew away from Radharani and went to Nandagaon from Barsana. And then Krishna, he saw this parrot. This parrot was exactly imitating the voice of Srimati Radhika. It was hiding somewhere. Then Krishna was thinking, who is this? Who is this creature who has the same sound and tone, melody as that of Srimati Radhika? And looked behind, he saw it was a parrot. And then Krishna, he took that parrot and he kept it with him. And then when Lalita and Vishaka came, then anyhow, Mother Yashoda, she chastised Krishna and the parrot was given back to Srimati Radhika. So this way, Sukadeva Goswami is the parrot of Srimati Radhika. So he, and also when Radha and Krishna are in the Kunjas, Sukadeva Goswami is also there in the Kunjas. So he has witnessed all these confidential leelas of Radha and Krishna. So he has this power. He has been empowered by Srimati Radhika to speak these leelas. So Krishna is saying, he can speak, but I cannot speak. So, fearing that Krishna may again become absorbed in ecstasy by glorifying Braj, Uddhava, he sent the queens in front of the Lord to stop him from speaking such topics. Then all the queens, such as Satyabhama and Rukmini, surrounded their husband and began to bow at his lotus feet. Offering their prayers with pathetic cries, they finally became pacified. So then Uddhava, he was thinking that if Krishna starts speaking about the Brajavasis again, then again he will fall unconscious. So then he told all the queens, all of you go and fall at his feet, beg for forgiveness, offer prayers to him. Then only he will be pacified. Glorify the Brajavasis. So then they all fell at the feet of Krishna and they glorified the Brajavasis and the gopis. And in this way, Krishna was pacified. Thereafter, in order to feed Krishna, Uddhava, he told Devaki Mata and Rohini, bring some food, bring some drinks, feed this to Krishna. And after this, Uddhava, he got Baladev. And then he had Baladev convey the news that Narada Rishi, he has come here. So then, Krishna said, Narada is here. Where is Narada? So Narada was very shy. Because Narada, he was thinking, I am responsible for all of this. Because I came here and I inquired about the Vrajavasis, Krishna had to perform all these leaders. So then Uddhava, he replied, oh Lord, Narada is very shameful now and he's very fearful. So he doesn't want to stand in front of you. Then Krishna himself got up and he caught Narada by his hand and he brought him into the house and he said, oh Narada, you are the best among the Rasik Bhaktas. You have greatly favored me. Although I felt so much separation, I was burning in this fire of separation from the Vrajavasis, still, because of that sadness, I felt some happiness in my heart. So Krishna is telling Narada Rishi that although you reminded me of the Vrajavasis and I was feeling so much separation, still, because I remembered them and I remembered their prem, I felt some slight happiness in my heart. Because you see, the separation that you speak of in this spiritual world is not like the separation here. Because here, if you are separated from your beloved, it's very painful. You cannot tolerate. And there's no happiness there. But in the spiritual world, even though separation seems to be very painful, still there is the meeting, the happiness, the sense of happiness is experienced there. Because everything that takes place in the spiritual world is a transformation of Shuddha Sattva. What is Shuddha Sattva? Shuddha Sattva means that which is transcendental to three modes of material nature, which is purely on the existence of the soul and the super soul. So how can there be any sadness there, any misery there? On the other hand, here, any sadness, separation you feel is a transformation of the three modes of material nature, either goodness, passion or ignorance. But then everything is transcendental. So Krishna is telling Narada But although I was feeling so much separation from the Brajavasis and I was miserable, still when you reminded me of the Brajavasis, I felt some happiness in my heart. And he brought Narada inside, and then he spoke these words to me. So we'll end today. And Gurudev, he has poured his heart out in all these books. He's given all his realizations. Like today I was just reading one quote. Gurudev was saying, what I've given to the world, people will not realize now. They will realize later, he said. Later the entire world will realize what I have given. And see here what he has given in all these books. Just given his heart out. So we should make use of this opportunity. Please try reading something and pray to Guru and Vaishnavas that they will help us cultivate these books in our hearts. So we'll stop here. Maharaj.Brihad-Bhagavatamrita ki jai, Sanatana Goswami Pad ki jai, Brajavasi Vind ki jai, Brajmandal Dham ki jai, Anant Koti Vaishnava Vind ki jai,Tai Gaur Premanande ki jai, Panchaka Padaru Krishna Kripasandhu Vaishnava